Hey everybody, we're now live here on my channel in the groups or chat with Andrew. Bring your questions. So hopefully some friends show up, have all kinds of questions from what's it like running the groups to maybe some casual questions about Photoshop or Lightroom, Adobe Express, digital art, AI art, whatever you want. Casual chat, holidays. So yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Little StreamYard duck there. So let me know if anyone has a. So I got someone from Facebook. So yeah, so let me remind you to please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pic so that I will be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. You should see that just underneath the description in the live, streamyard.com/Facebook. Click that, give permissions, jump on back. Waiting for people to come on in. So let me give a little shout out to StreamYard while people are coming in. So yeah, want an easy but professional way to do live streaming. You can get a $10 credit or a free month. I think maybe $10 credit when you sign up with StreamYard for your live streaming with my link. And just want to give a quick little shout out to StreamYard. The multi-streaming app makes it all possible to stream to the groups, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Thanks, StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard. So you see Barbara's here. How you doing, Barbara? Happy holidays. Let me know if you have any questions in general, from groups to digital art, AI in general, artificial intelligence. Someone says, okay, here we go. We're here. Let me know what questions people have. Can't have much of a chat if no one asks questions. See, there's at least 10 people here, so feel free to ask. Don't be shy. 9 people, 10 people. Also have a bit of a StreamYard background for the holidays. A little snowy background. Come on, people, you gotta ask questions. That's what a chat's about. Can't always just entertain you all the time. I have to have some from others. There we go. Good to see my friend John here. Well. What's all this then? It's a chat. So ask me some questions, please, my friend. Hello. Greetings from Colombina. Juan Carlos, good to see you here. So someone says, can we claim AE as an art medium? You mean AI? Please clarify the comments. And then someone says, I can't remember what I was going to ask now. But my thoughts on AI, if you're talking about AI as an art medium, I have mixed thoughts. So, starting with that AI, the first thing is, I've been using Photoshop since early 90s, and Adobe themselves are embracing AI technology. And so what's happening is, now there's at least 3 or 4 different AI focused plugins just for Photoshop, where you can either just give a prompt, or there's other aspects to it. But you'll be able to incorporate those AI aspects into your Photoshop, composites and artwork that you do. So I like the idea of also AI being kind of where it has been, with like neural filters, where it reads your image and can help you, colorize an image, things like that, as well as, some of the Adobe Sensei AI that they've used for like retouching, where you do content aware fill. And I do think that you could use AI to generate backgrounds, your own kind of stock imagery to use with some of your images. But I like the idea of mixing it with either your own photos or other stock and create your own new image. Um, and to be honest, I do have a hard time sometimes with people who go and they're really good at it, but they go to like sites like Midjourney and then they just put in a great prompt and then they say, here's my art. So I think it's very well done prompt, but a bot is creating it for you. So I do like it when they incorporate it with Photoshop skills or their own photography, something like that. I do like the mix, but I am intrigued by it. I do see a lot of really great images being generated. See, Martin is here. Welcome. And someone says Adobe Express. Yes, I like Adobe Express as well. So let's see. I think Barbara. Okay, so Barbara says, how have you been making art generation work for you so far? So for me, in terms of AI, kind of like what I just said, I tend to sometimes just do a simple prompt to get some, say, background imagery or a texture even. And then I'll incorporate that with my own photos or stock images that I have for my digital art. But I don't do anything where I just do a full prompt and it generates the art for me and then I post it. I don't kind of work that way. And I do think that even as it gets better and better, I still may use it that way where it's kind of balanced and not where it's kind of taken over my whole process. Because I really like to create. It's very painterly for me. I like to go in and use layer mask, layer blending, use like a Wacom tablet or a Sense Labs tablet and just the whole kind of painterly feel. And I like changing the colors. I really like to be active with it. So I myself personally am not a fan of just putting a prompt and letting it generate art for me. I love to be hands-on. And when I do my work, it can take anywhere from a couple hours to days, maybe even a week. Some images I come back years later and then incorporate them with others. So I'm not I'm not that keen on the idea of just having the bots create art for me. So hope that answered it. Good to see you here. Where is it? Osvaldo. Sup, Andrew? Good to see you here, Osvaldo. And then John says, kind of a left field question, but since you're a digital artist, I don't know if you have any favorite brushes. No, to be honest, I use kind of the basic brushes that come with the panels, in Photoshop. So I don't really, I could easily get them or buy them where there's different kind of shapes and textures, but I tend to just kind of use the rounded ones. And then my thing is I feel that getting good at blending is important. So with my layer masks, um, I change the flow a lot. So the flow is like the strength with the brush. So I will change it from down to like 9 to 12 when I really want to be sensitive with the blending, and when I want to take out bigger areas, I jump up to 35 to 75. So that's almost more important to me, is just be constantly changing the flow, which changes the sensitivity of my brush than the brushes themselves. Cool. Come on, welcome. Where's your questions? And also, you can let me know where you're watching from if you want. Feel free to ask me a question. And there we go. So John says, so you maximize the effectiveness of your existing brushes. Yeah, I don't reach out and have like a big kind of panel of variety of brushes. I use the basic panel. And like I said, I'm more concerned with just constantly moving the flow and the strength of it, and then changing the size and making it smaller. So detailed areas, small brush, larger area to kind of blend in smoothly. And then we got someone from Germany. Someone says, do you use a digital pen? Yeah. So I've used Wacom tablets in the past. So I've used the small or the medium. And then now recently I'm using a Sense Labs small tablet. And that's fine with me. I like it kind of compact like that. You have to kind of feel out the way that you work. But when it comes to pen tablets, I love the flow of it. And also, if you're doing jobs where you're knocking out backgrounds and you have to do like the pen tool and clipping pass, things like that, your hand can cramp up pretty badly if you're doing very detailed work, if you're using a mouse. So a pen is amazing for that. Very helpful when you're doing things like detailed outlining with the pen tool. John says, I have to run, got a gig. Shoot today, not turning down side. Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, Merry Christmas, John. Great to see you here. Thanks so much for being admin in my groups and a good friend. And yeah, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. Yeah. Someone says, down in Mexico, what's your favorite filter? So do you mean, let me know if you mean neural filters or the general filters in Photoshop. So, for the filters, I don't tend to use, so when it comes to filters, I don't tend to use a lot of the kind of artistic filters for my work. I tend to like to use like the plugin like Infinite Color, or go into Camera Raw and then go to the color grading section and add my own color. And I'll have that on its own layer. And then I'll use a layer mask to blend that with it, and do layer blending modes for my effects. But if in terms of neural filters, I think Colorize is amazing. And then there's just new advancements coming all the time. So the retouching one I've tested is pretty amazing too, or restoration, I think it's called. So you could have a ripped photo and then you bring it in and you just click of a button and it gets rid of like the ripped areas. You might have to do a little bit of work, but it's pretty amazing for like a 3 to 5 second click. Let's see. Osvaldo says, what do you do to keep your back and hands in good shape? I don't know about back so much, but I do have an errand chair though. So I think that's was it Henry Miller? Is it Henry Miller? Errand chair, an expensive chair, but very springy for the seat and for the back. So for long periods of sitting, it's very great support and very comfortable. So I don't get any back tension. And then for hands, I do some kind of just simple stretching. And I'm a fan of taking hot showers and letting my hands kind of just take in the heat. I also recently found out that, which I should have learned earlier, even though I've already pretty much been doing it, that if you take a hot shower and you close your eyes and let the water beat on your eyes, it's very good for moisturizing your eyes. And I've learned if I've scratched my eyes, because I have a tendency to rub my eyes, the hot water will heal the eye very fast. So I've noticed that if I do that with the hot water treatment, I can heal a scratched eye in a couple days as opposed to like a week. Let's see what else we got. Can you suggest a digital pen system with Mac? So yeah, as I was saying before, I am a fan of the Sense Labs tablets. I think there's large, medium, and small, but for sure there's medium and small that are used by most people. I use a small, and it's just a beautiful system. So do you know of any posterizing filters beyond Photoshop? Yeah, I don't really use that too much, so I'm not really sure. I mean, you could do a simple Google search, I guess, but I think the ones in Photoshop do a pretty good job for that kind of effect. So, and then someone asks, what's your opinion on AI tools becoming more common? So I myself believe that 2023 is going to be even a bigger boom for AI, and not just AI for, say, art, but AI for audio. I know that AI for writing has become big. I think it's called like Chat GPT or something, where a lot of marketing and just business people can go in and say, okay, type me up a paragraph related to this theme, and it does like an amazing job. So that's going to be more common. And I think I've given my opinion on different sites about it, but my biggest concern is on one way, the advancements are going to be amazing. And so there'll be some really good creativity. But my concerns are, one, will it take away jobs from people such as illustrators and maybe even Photoshop artists? Will it take jobs away from writers and even marketing people if You can use an AI app to do a lot of that type of work that used to take time that will now take 5 minutes. Um, and the one great thing about it is it will be very helpful for people with disabilities. So people who have some type of disability um, in various ranges, the AI will be very helpful to them and can make their life easier in some ways. Um, but then the bad side is I do see that AI could become a bit scary when it comes to such as hackers. So, people can doing like deep fake where they mimic your voice and then, call up the bank and tell the bank to transfer money, whatever, or they just hack into different systems by imitating you or just other people that they have access to. Um, and who knows how far that can go. So that might even go into like Central Intelligence Agency or government or something. But I do think it could get pretty intense in the future. Barbara has the great questions. So another one: do you think the Midjourney AI art producers will outnumber traditional artists anytime soon? I do see a flooding going on in my groups already, and on social networks. So I do think that it is becoming very common, and to the point that I was even surprised that there were some digital artist friends who kind of jumped on the AI art bandwagon, who I thought were going to be against it. So that was a big surprise to me. So I have a lot of friends who really embrace it, but they do balance it between their own Photoshop artistry with AI art, which I like to see. But I have seen a lot of friends kind of jump on that bandwagon. Yep. Let's see. Ozzy says, how do you like to add color to your shadows without crushing the darks and getting a hazy look in your work? Color to my shadows. I use a mixture of, like I said, Infinite Color plugin or Adobe Camera Raw color grading to add specialized color to areas. But in general, if you're talking about just a regular image and not like a color graded image, then for sure levels or curves, that's what I was thinking of. Curves is your best friend for that. And I believe you might have to change the blend mode to I think it's luminosity. So if you change it to luminosity, then a lot of times you can change the tonal range without it affecting color. So curves for sure. Yep. And let's see. Yeah, AI that is able to write programs would be somewhat scary. Yeah. So I mean, the Terminator movies came out a while ago, and that was more like, the robots taking over. But the metaphor for it is kind of true. Is give 5 to 10 years, more like 10 years, I would imagine that there could be some real infiltration of AI getting into systems, and it being kind of a hard way to kind of differentiate where AI is doing some of the work and humans are. So I don't see any kind of like end of the world scenario like Terminator, but I do see that there can be some confusion as to its integration, how it's kind of gotten into things, and there's like no correct boundaries. So that could be very interesting. Um, so Barbara says, after using AI in your own creative efforts, do you really feel those who use AI solely to create art are artists? Didn't the computer create the art? Yeah, I touched upon that earlier. I do have kind of conflicting feelings about that. So I will see AI art and I know it's done by a bot, but I will look at it and give credit, even if it's to a bot. I'll say it's amazing. Like the detail is amazing. It's very creative. It's well composed. The colors are good. Some of it is really fantastic. But the thing that's weird about it is I see friends posting, and I know that they might be great at the prompts, but a bot is creating it, not them. So I don't like that. For me personally, I love creating. I love the whole process. I love the meditative state that I go into with it. Um, and to be honest, what happens is when I see this amazing art by friends, and no offense to any of my friends, love you all, but when I see it, my first reaction is, that's amazing. That's cool. I look at it. And then my second reaction, sad but true, is I feel kind of empty. So I kind of feel empty because I know just a bot did it and that my friend themselves did not do it. And that kind of takes away from it. And I am aware and have friends who are illustrators. So I know a lot of illustrators who have spent literally weeks on doing an image that's very similar to the kind of AI art that's being propelled out of these websites. And I used to say, like, wow, that's amazing the amount of work you put into it. And so now when I see the bots just creating in 5 minutes, kind of leaves me feeling a bit empty, to be honest. Sorry to say, no offense to any of my AI artists friends. Someone says, so you think there will be a moral stop at some point to AI? Sadly, I don't. I think that you will see a lot more legal cases happening about copyright, and there's a lot of talk now about, have some of these sites, are they just purely generating, or are they stealing images from artists alive or deceased, and then using that as a base to then catapult and propel these new images? So that's becoming a big debate now. So my um, prediction is that, especially this new year coming up, I do think there will be legal cases about usage and copyright. Osvaldo says, we love you too, Andrew. Love you, Ozzy. Thanks for all your help in the groups too. Yeah, here we go. So it takes me days to make one work in Photoshop, which is a pale shadow of anything in AI. So yeah, that's the frustration is, we put in the real energy with it in the creative process, and an AI can do it in 5 minutes. It take you weeks, sometimes months to work on certain things. So yeah. Any other questions about the group? Or someone wrote Adobe Express, but they never asked the question. If you have a particular question, let me know. I hope everyone's enjoying the groups. I got the Photoshop and Lightroom Group, Photoshop and Photography, Strange and Surreal, and the Digital Art and AI Art Group. My admins and moderators, and me included, do work hard at moderating the groups and trying to keep it on focus, on topic. But people will be people, and certain comments get through. Best thing you can do is report mean or nasty comments when they happen. Please don't report things that are fine. I've been noticing that too lately. People will report things that are fine, and to let you know, if people report something that's absolutely fine as a violation of some sort, we might ban you from the group. Banned. Okay, let's see. Osvaldo says, how many people asking these AI questions actually use it? It's a good question. Yeah, there might be some people that do and don't. Yeah. Someone says, Niji function in Mid-Journey is mind-blowing. Not even sure what that is, but I do know it's constantly evolving, very fast pace. Yeah. Groups are great for photography as well as for AI if you still do both. Yep. And yeah, just a reminder, I have the Photoshop and Lightroom group for photographers, Photoshop artists, retouchers, and I also have the digital art and AI art group. Now that used to be just the digital art group, but I made a digital art and AI art group to try to embrace this reality more, because I myself was a bit adverse at first, but I'm starting to see it more in plugins and whatnot in Photoshop. So trying to be more open-minded. So Bobby says, who are some of your favorite photographers? So to be honest, I'm more of a digital artist, Bobby. So, I appreciate, my friends who I see on social, but I don't kind of, go out and study photographers that much directly, whereas I will still study fine art a lot. So I'll go out and study, the German expressionist prints and fine art in general. And fine art in general. And I'm constantly looking at social. So, I mean, Facebook is very active. I've tried to be, active on other ones like Twitter since I think 2008. I can never get engagement there. So, I mean, I think everyone does their best and posts, the different social, but I think it's always good to focus on what platform works best for you, which for me is obviously Facebook. Someone says, great that you have embraced AI. Yeah, I mean, at first I was a little adverse, and then I started seeing the possibility of what could be. And if you mingle it with your Photoshop, it can be great. And the technology's advancing all the time, and even the stuff that they're starting to bring into Photoshop is getting more and more interesting. So, I think if you are totally adverse, or even like offended by AI art, then you're going to be very frustrated and disappointed for the next, 10, 20 years, whatever of your life, because it's not going anywhere. It's going to get big. There might be legal issues, copyright issues that pop up, but for sure it is not going anywhere. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. It's going to be more integrated in so many different factors. And like I said, you have to see the benefits too. So it really is helping a lot of people with disabilities. It's going to make it easier for people who, on certain ways, can't get over their own kind of learning curve. So they'll be able to implement and, like I said, make, say, stock photography to work with some of their images. A lot of times I see creatives who will create a whole series from AI art, and it'll give them the idea for a different photo shoot, and then they'll recreate the photo shoot in real life. So it can be used that way as like kind of like thumbnails, or a whiteboard of different ideas. Someone says we should treat AI like it was CCO. You might not be its original, but you have every right to display it, modify it, and to sell it. And that will create issues, like the selling of it. Everyone has heard that news. There was art contest, and the guy who won had created his image with AI, or Midjourney, I think it was. And with that, all the other artists were angry that this person won when they basically used a prompt and didn't do any physical creating. Um, and then there's going to be the copyright issues, and there's going to be sites that will sell AI stock. So it's already been generated and you can use it. And then there's going to be other sites that are like anti-AI, and they're going to say we don't allow any stock that's been generated that way. And it's just going to keep like fighting with each other. So, yep. Other questions in general? Don't be shy. And then I also wanted to give a bit of a shout out to, I had posted, I do put a lot of work into these groups. I've been running the Photoshop and Lightroom group for 12 years now. So a lot of work for those, almost daily, going in and moderating, cleaning up comments and posts and whatnot. People messaging me with questions or problems with another member, etc. So I did post what I tend to do around the holidays is shared my Buy Me a Coffee link. So I wanted to say first, thank you for your support for my friends and followers who have sent me a donation through Buy Me a Coffee. And then anyone who might be interested, just to let you know, I'm at buymeacoffee.com/DrewCav. If you feel so inclined to send me a little gift, they say buy me a coffee, which is basically a donation, but you can donate like 1, 5, 10, whatever you want. However generous you're feeling, feel free to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, DrewCav. So let's see. Where is it? When characters in AI are easily reproducible scene to scene, AI will really have landed. Yeah, I'm also very curious to see how AI is going to be implemented in movies and video. So obviously, I think they've already used it for like CGI, but I mean, to take it even further, I'm gonna be very curious to see how it gets more implemented. Do you know about any AI plans for Photoshop? Maybe fixing the neural filters would work better with restoration. Well, I think the restoration filter works pretty good. It is new, somewhat new. I think it even says, beta version. So they are working on it all the time. And I do think there are going to be some new additions as well as advancements to it in 2023. So it'll be a lot of great stuff coming just to Photoshop, for AI. Ozzy says, your site is amazing resource as well. I always go back and look at past videos. It's a great free library for those who want to learn. Thank you. So let's see if I even have that as a list. Well, I'll do it now. So yeah. Okay. But yeah, so if you go to my site at photoshopandphotography.com, there's my digital art. There's information about my lessons for Photoshop and Lightroom. And then there's also a whole tab up top for the Photoshop and Lightroom group. And if you were to click on that, there'd be information to be able to join it. But it would also list, as you scroll down, almost every single live event I've done in the various years. So you'll have like recent ones at the top, and I've had people like Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop Training Channel, Colin Smith from Photoshop Cafe, Paul Tranny, the Adobe evangelist. I've been trying to get Terry White, but he's always busy, so it's been hard. But I've such a great variety of creative people: Hannah Messer, uh, Christina Shirk, a lot of great people. So do check it out. It's all there for free. Click on it. You can watch the links, which most of them will take you to my YouTube. If you keep going, if you go to the bottom, you'll even see ones I did many years ago when I was using Adobe Connect. So I'm not even sure if you were to click on those links, if I would imagine they still work, but you'll notice a big change of quality if you look at those compared to the newer ones at the top of that list. But yeah, check out my site. And there's also like a thing for my newsletter if you want to subscribe. I've kind of streamlined that down to focus more on what live events are coming out and the recordings. I used to showcase an artist, but the back and forth trying to get their work and their links became too much work. It just didn't work at times. So I kind of changed the focus of that. And we have some questions coming in. So let's go back. Um, let's go back up here. So someone says automatic triple quadruple 11 has developed a new plugin for Photoshop. Cool. Yeah, and feel free, if there's articles about these developments related to Photoshop or Lightroom with AI or even other plugins, new articles and whatnot, feel free to post them to the groups. Someone says, why does my feed go out? I'm not quite sure. You might have to kind of restart your browser or something, but other people are not having that problem. So I'm not sure why. Roland is here. Good to see you as well. Nice to see you here. And then let's see. Someone says, I haven't tried it yet, but it's available at GitHub. Not sure what that's in regards to. Maybe automatic quadruple 11. Now, is automatic 1111 the best free desktop SD generator? Is that a plugin you can get through the Adobe Creative Cloud panel app? Because that's where I've been getting my plugins. Usually you can find them on a site, but then the link will take you back to your Creative Cloud app. So this is a good question. Maybe something personal. Do you listen to music while working for inspiration? I know people talk about like ADHD and things like that. I've always been kind of very hyper and been creative since I was young. So for me, I play music all the time. So like from morning to night, I play music, and a lot of times I'll even like try to play music at a low level in the background, even when I'm having like meetings sometimes with people. It just really, I tune into it. It really is very soothing to me. And so in terms of music, I love a range. So I love anything from like old classic jazz to 60s rock and roll, and then some of, more modern rock and roll, I guess you could say. But I'm a big fan of like ambient music, electronic music, Brian Eno, Aphex Twin. I think you say it's Auticture, not sure. Boards of Canada. I just recently found out that Plaid is a great group from London that does some kind of ambient. And I also move into some kind of ambient that's almost like kind of clubby sounding. So like Niels Fromm does he does some very beautiful piano music, and like Max Richter, I think it is, might do some kind of like ambient club sounding music, which has a good beat to it. So yeah, I love music. To be honest, I think when David Bowie passed away, that really hit me hard. I cried. He's one of my favorite geniuses, and I know he's worked with Brian Eno, who I'm a big fan of. So yeah, David Bowie was a big one. And then the way that he went out was amazing. Like he did that Black Star album that very much was symbolic and metaphor for death. It's as if he timed its release, knowing he was passing around the same time, which is pretty amazing. New comments. So let's see. Wow, Roland is dedicated. 5:30 a.m. in the Philippines. Yeah, so automatic 1111 is at GitHub. Yep. Roland says, love David Bowie. Someone said they saw David Bowie in 1972. I'm jealous. That must have been great. 72. What was that? That also like when Heroes came out? We Can Be Heroes, that type of thing. That album. Other questions? Don't be shy. Yeah, just a reminder, feel free to join the Photoshop and Lightroom group. Just do a search for Photoshop and Lightroom at Facebook, or groups/Photoshop Lightroom group on Facebook. Some more. Someone says, Time Takes a Cigarette. Is that the name of an album that came out of his in 72? I also love, some other musicians I really like have worked with David Bowie, such as Robert Fripp and Brian Eno. So, yeah. Any other questions? We had good momentum for a while. Now it's getting a little quiet, a little shy. Come on. I think Roland is saying that he wants me to say my famous check the top pin post, But now they changed it to featured. So now I'm going to have to start saying check the top featured post in the groups. So, yep. Any other questions? Let me know. And once again, if you want to make a little donation, that would be nice. Otherwise, you can feel free to share my link. That's buymeacoffee.com/DrewCav. Feel free to give a shout out for all the different things that I do. Try to keep you all amused. Keep the groups focused. Keep that spam away, the meaners, the haters. So do my best. So feel free to either send me a donation at buymeacoffee.com/DrewCav, or feel free to share that link. And we got a couple more comments. So Roland says, happy holidays. Keep safe, Andrew. Sending love from the Philippines. If you're taking off, yep. Happy holidays to you. Great seeing you. And we'll have to schedule some new live events in the new year. Favorite snack when working? I don't really snack when I work. I'm really focused either on work or when I create my digital art, and then I'll have lunch, and then end of the day I'll have dinner, and now in the evening I will have some snacks when I have a little bit of wine sometimes. So I try to be healthy, so I do like to eat popcorn more than other snacks, and I will but I will have like some veggie chips, or even just some kind of olive oil potato chips from like Trader Joe's or something. But someone says, I have never been away from Photoshop this long. AI has got me. Help. Well, prepare yourself, because the new year is going to be even more intense. A lot of new developments. So someone says, I'm more into Tool, I guess the band, but Bowie was truly a great artist. Happy Christmas to all. See you soon. Yeah. And I think there's a discussion going on maybe about other apps, but yeah, Topaz, Gigapixel, and Sharpen, AI Sharpen, are both very good plugins. You can use them with Photoshop and Lightroom, I believe. And I do tend to try to post when there's like a deal for them too. So once again, in general, and if you're in the Facebook groups, do look for the top featured posts. It says featured now, top featured post. I do tend to post when there's a good deal on any sale or deal for plugins like Topaz or Infinite Color, or if there's a sale on courses. So when Colin Smith from Photoshop Cafe has like a new course and there might even be a percentage off, I will post that there. And please do keep an eye on the top featured post section for when we have passed the time, a milestone. So when we pass certain milestones, like I think when we just passed 320,000 members in the Photoshop and Lightroom group. When we get to 350,000 or earlier, I might have a contest. So you would need to look at the top featured post to see all the criteria to enter that contest. Someone says, I am new to Photoshop. Where do I begin? So yeah, the first thing is you can find some beginner tutorials on my YouTube channel. So youtube.com/digitalartdrew. So look for Digital Art Drew on YouTube. I have there's a section for like beginners Photoshop or Photoshop for beginners tutorials and general Photoshop tutorials. And then even the live events are very good for even when I have guest presenters going over different Photoshop, Lightroom, and photography focused themes. And then you'll even find that there are people who I have done live events with have some really great channels. So you could start with my channel. And then if you see, there's one I did with Jesus Ramirez from the Photoshop training channel. He has some really great tutorials on his channel. And so does Colin Smith from Photoshop Cafe. So someone says, got to run. Thanks for a great year of hosting. All the best. Thank you so much. Topaz products have excellent batch processing features. I regularly do 80 image batches in gigapixel and sharp. That's good to know. I wasn't quite sure if they did that, which I know you can do some good batch exporting in Lightroom, of course. But it's good to know that Topaz does it as well. And then Osvaldo says, Deborah, check Andrew's site for free tutorials of some of the industry's best. Yep. Photoshop and photography.com. If you then go to the top menu and go to Photoshop and Lightroom Group, I think it either says Photoshop and Lightroom or Photoshop and Lightroom Group, you'll have access to all those recordings. And then, yes, also my YouTube. So let me just remind people that, yeah, you can subscribe for Photoshop and Lightroom, digital art, and Adobe Express focused live streams and tutorials on my YouTube at youtube.com/digitalartdrew. And there really is a lot of great live recordings there. So you can go back and watch to your heart's content the different live events that I've hosted throughout the years. And then, as I said, there's a whole like Photoshop for beginners or Photoshop, Learn Photoshop, where there's a bunch of tutorials that I've also posted. So yeah, youtube.com/digitalartdrew or Digital Art Drew on YouTube. That was just thanks. Yeah, hope it helps. Any other questions? Let me remind people too that, so once again, Digital Art Drew on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe. Please watch a lot of the live event recordings. Someone says, bye for now. Have a good Christmas. Thanks for hosting my work. Thank you for being part of the groups, part of my social network reality. And then, so yeah, Digital Art Drew on YouTube. And then you can also follow my digital art at Behance, at behance.net, Drew Cav. I'm also on Instagram as Digital Artist Drew. LinkedIn, which is not as kind of artistically exciting, but I'm there as Andrew H. Kavanagh. And then, as Osvaldo pointed out, my website. So my website at photoshopandphotography.com. So that's a lot of things. My digital art, information about my Photoshop and Lightroom tutoring, my photo editing information if people need help with that. And then there's the Photoshop and Lightroom submenu where you can then get information about the group as well as see years and years and years of recordings. And let's see. Darren asked, what features would you like to see in the next update to Photoshop or Lightroom? So we were talking about, the whole AI thing, and I would just like to keep seeing the neural filters get more revised and new features to that. I like the way that where they're going now. And like I said, there's also the plugins for AI in Photoshop that are pretty great. So I myself am trying to get some of the people who've worked on those plugins to do a live event for my YouTube channel and my groups. So trying to get people like I think Christian Cantrell and there's a guy named Ingo who also created a plugin. Try to get them to speak about how it works. Like, well, first, how you can get it, and people need to even know how they can get plugins on the Adobe Creative Cloud panel, and then how to install it, how to use them, and then the best way to use them. Like, what are the kind of features that they might not even know about, or the way that the person who created it, how they use it. So that might be a big focus. But so yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Another thing I'd like to see, going back to that question, Darren, is for years and years they refine the tools, but one thing that I've been wanting for a long time is I wish just the curves panel was larger. So you have that graph and it just seems squeezed in, and I just would like to see that as a simply larger panel for kind of more detailed pinpointing on that curve to change the tonal or color range when you're making changes. I think that would be helpful. Other questions, my friends? And yeah, I'm also an Adobe Express ambassador. I've done various live events focused on Adobe Express. So if you're curious about that, that's a great program for easy to use templates that will create designs for you. So if you've worked on like your photography and you're about to have a show, or you have a new product that you want to market, or just have a general social post, Adobe Express is amazing. It's very, at, at your fingertips type of template based design. And then you just click on it. It's all very intuitive. And you can get that at adobe.com/express or express.adobe.com. There is like a free version, and then there's a premium version with some more features. But Adobe Express is quite great to take the frustration out of design and make it simple. And then Bobby says, got to run. Thanks for everything. Have a great holiday season. Thanks for being here, Bobby. Good to see you. See you in the groups. Any other questions, everybody? Got my Adobe mug. My Adobe mug, my t-shirt from Adobe. It's an Illustrator design. My Photoshop, my Lightroom pillows, my StreamYard, Adobe Max pillow that I bought at Adobe Max this year. That was great. Went by too fast, though. Okay. Still see people are still here. Other questions? Questions, comments? Anything about the Facebook groups, Photoshop and Lightroom, Adobe Express, digital art, AI art, any of that? Let's see if there's any other questions I overlooked. Don't be shy. Any other questions? All right. Well, once again, let me just remind everybody, please do consider subscribing to my Digital Art Drew YouTube channel, youtube.com/Digital Art Drew. And please join the Photoshop and Lightroom group, facebook.com/groups, Photoshop Lightroom group, There's also my digital art and AI art group. You could either do a search for that, or otherwise, I think you would do a search for the digital art group. It should come up. And got some comments. Did you say you are on Facebook? Yeah. So Deborah, I not only am I on Facebook, I have digital artist Andrew Kavanagh. If you look, is my business page, and then you could follow that, and then you'll always see my updates with live events and my artwork and news about Adobe. But as I said, I run a few groups. So if you're on Facebook, you could do a search for Photoshop and Lightroom for the group and join. That's 321,000 members. I also help run the Photoshop and Photography group. I created the Strange and Surreal Art group, and I also run the Digital Art and AI Art group. So very active on Facebook, which is great because it seems to be very good engagement and just kind of feels like home to a certain degree. Whereas I think I said earlier, I've been on Twitter since 2008 and still don't get much engagement no matter what I try. Dave asked, do you think 2 action panels would be useful? One to hold all the actions, one to drag a few actions into while processing an image. I guess you mean like in Photoshop? The thing about that is if you're talking about like doing 2 different kind of processes at the same time, the kind of usage of GPU and whatnot might crash your Photoshop. So I think that's why they only have like one panel at a time in Photoshop. I myself tend to use the actions panel in Photoshop. I have it all, built throughout the years, color-coded buttons, where it speeds up a lot of processes for me. Simple click, and it creates, I can have a horizontal and vertical guide just at a click of a button. I click on it, and I can save to a certain size, or click on it, and it already has the dimensions for a certain size, like a template for video. So I really like it like that. But I myself don't tend to do a lot of kind of batch processing work as much as I used to. And with that, I do know that if you don't want to use like the actions panel, I'm not sure if they still have it. I think they must, but there was a way that you used to be able to make like a widget that you would set all the criteria, and it would be interconnected to your actions panel of what steps you want to do. And then it would create like an icon you could put on your desktop, and you could drag like a folder to it, and it would just generate all that for you. If it doesn't create a widget, then for sure under like the automate section, there must be a way that you can automate batch exports, I guess, or saving. So Darren says, a feature I would like in Lightroom is an easy way to create a new catalog, but migrate all settings from my previous catalog. You should be able to, I believe when you go to File, Import from another catalog, you bring in any other catalogs to that main catalog you're working on, which I've done with various clients and for myself. And I've never lost any settings from previous catalog. You might have to go back and check your preferences or your settings to make sure that one big one that I noticed was there's one that says store like presets, something like store presets with this catalog, which you want to turn off because you want it to make it so your presets are accessible to any catalog. I think that's gotten people in problems in the past. Yep. David says, too many actions in my action panel. I'd like to like a spare blank panel to drag just the actions and adjustments I use more often. Well, you can create different groupings of actions. So you could have like one that's like daily workflow and has the majority, and then you could have one that's most important, and then you could just load the most important one and have those to just focus on without being overwhelmed by your daily workflow ones. And Darren says, I'll try that. I lost identity, plate settings, and plugin settings such as Smug. Yeah, if you say plugin settings, it might be another thing to think about is also with the new updates that they do, and if you're on a new operating system and you've done updates to your operating system, make sure that you check, like, say, the Smug Mug site or forums, and find out if they are compatible with, like, say, Ventura on a Mac, the new operating system. So, always check that. Any other questions? Good ones. Great questions today for sure. Thank you so much. More questions? No questions? All right. So once again, if you want to show your support for all that I do for the Photoshop and digital art groups and the contests, and like my digital art, consider buying me a coffee. You can go to buymeacoffee.com at DrewCav, or feel free to share that link for me. Appreciate it. And don't forget to join the Photoshop and Lightroom group, facebook.com/groups/Photoshop Lightroom group, and the digital art and AI art group, which I believe is the digital art group. But you could do a search, digital art and AI art, and then click on the groups thing on Facebook. And don't forget to check out Adobe Express at adobe.com/express, or express.adobe.com. Great way for template-based designs, easy to use. So yeah, thanks everybody so much. Please consider subscribing to my Digital Art Drew channel on YouTube, and please watch a lot of the live events that I have there. There's a lot of great presenters. I presented a bit as well. And then there's also a Photoshop tutorial section for beginners and advanced stuff. So yeah, thanks everybody so much, and appreciate your support. So once again, those who have sent a donation to buymeacoffee/DrewCav, thanks for your support. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for watching. Please do subscribe to Digital Art Drew YouTube channel. Keep your eye out for some great other lives coming up. I've got a few great people already lined up for January, and 2023 is going to be a great year. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holidays, and see you in the groups, everybody. Thank you so much.